Oh boy, here we go. So Highguard is officially released finally after much speculation was that this game was going to reinvent the FPS genre and become the next big thing, or was it going to just, implode instantly and basically become Concord 2.0? Well, I decided to spend a few hours of my life that I'm never going to get back and actually played Highguard myself live on stream. From my very first game of it, even the tutorial, all live so everyone could watch and suffer with me. And I can confidently say from the 2.5 hours of Highguard that I played that this game is everything I don't want from modern FPS games pretty much, all like summed up in one nice package. Let me get the good things out of the way first, okay? I like the horse, or I guess the mounts in general. I like the idea of being able to jump on my horse and immediately rush around and get to places quicker. Yeah, I know it's not a revolutionary mechanic, but I got really slim pickings here on what I actually like about the game. The gunplay, as in like the moment-to-moment shooting, is fine. I mean, it's not Call of Duty or Battlefield, mind you. Destiny also feels much better to play as well, I got to admit. But the shooting isn't bad. It's serviceable. What else do I even like about the game? That's about it, I guess. Well, some of the powers were a bit interesting in concept too. Achilles, I think that's his name. I don't know. The lightning guy on the cover of the game. I found his lightning spear idea to be interesting, that it was sort of like a landmine that sparked enemies and hunted them around them. And there was another guy named Kai who can make ice walls that you could push, I guess. Like, you see, the thing about Highguard is that there are like some good ideas in this game. There's something here, I will admit, but what has been done with like what's available as a first impression, it couldn't be further from what I would want to reasonably engage with on a regular basis. I also brought this up in my stream, but I noticed that the only progression, I guess, was the currency that you could obtain in the game. There was a premium currency, which, yes, Highguard has a fully functional cosmetic store day one, because of course it does. But besides that, all you really obtain between missions are two other coin-like versions, I guess. You have the silver coins that can be spent at a shop to buy in-game cosmetics for the characters, I guess. Most of these are also really expensive, and they will take multiple games to afford even like one thing. And then the other currency, which was purple, gets used in these mini battle passes. Sort of like Helldivers 2 or Arc Raiders, to buy other cosmetics that change things like how the guns look or certain characters. But besides that, there was no other progression that I could really see in the game at this time. There's no level ups, there's no other unlocks, there's no reasons to really get proficient with any which hero from what I could gather about the game, at least in, say, Marvel Rivals, right? When you play a hero a lot, you rank them up all the way to Lord, and then you unlock these like new cosmetics and icons to show off your dedication to the hero of your choice. And your overall account levels up too in Marvel Rivals, but here in Highguard, there's just like the currency, and that's it pretty much. I mean, no way of knowing that the other team or like even your team is some experienced player outside of maybe them wearing some skin that they either bought with real money or in-game coins, but that's really it. It's just a weird way of doing it. It kind of reminds me, honestly, of Concord a lot, which is not what you want to say at all. And then there's the actual game, however, which is like a very weird structure that personally, I just don't see how this is going to survive. So let me run you through how it works exactly. So you pick a hero, obviously. You then spawn in your castle, I guess, and then you're given reinforcement charges to, reinforce a certain amount of walls in your base, if you will. I usually just reinforce the walls around the main crystal in your base, because if your crystal blows up, you're cooked basically, and then you lose the game. So I would just do that every single time. So once you reinforce whatever wall you want, you then do, well, nothing. Like, I'm not even kidding. You just kind of stand there waiting. This section is like a full-blown minute, and about half or more of that, you just kind of wait and stand there and just do nothing. Then the barrier around your base opens, and then you rush out on your horse, and then you enter this big open world environment where you can go and mine stuff like blue crystals. I will admit there's a neat little time sequence smash mechanic to the crystals, and if you manage to do it right, then your next crystal smash will automatically blow up the next one, so you can then mine faster. So I guess that was a cool touch, but besides collecting the blue crystals, which you can then spend at the shop to buy armor, guns, or ammo, for example, the only other things you can find in the open world are blue chests, which have like free armor or helmets, for example. Helmets, by the way, they reduce how much headshot damage you take. And then you can find red chests, and these have free guns in them that you can then take and use. Obviously, they're totally random as to what's available in each of them. The rarity is also like other games you've seen, gray is common, there's blue, there's purple, and then orange is the best, like any other game that's like this. Anyways, besides that, you just collect items to stock up and then get stronger. However, bizarrely, there's nothing else to do in the open world segment. There's no PvE enemies to shoot or like wildlife or patrols of enemies. There's nothing, man. Literally nothing. It's just a big empty valley with chests to open and blue crystals to mine. If you haven't noticed, in both the opening segment of a match and this gathering section, if you will, in this FPS game, you never shoot your gun, even once. You just collect things, which I get it. You do that in, say, Fortnite or Call of Duty too, but at least in those smaller skirmishes and such, like, things can happen, like people can like ambush you and whatever as you collect things out of chests. Here it doesn't really happen, or it just didn't happen to me anyways, but eventually we enter the sword phase, I guess I'm gonna call it. So each team has a castle, and then this sword that spawns, which is in the middle of the map, is how you start a siege on your enemy's castle. As the sword regenerates into its physical form, your team and the enemy team then rush this sword. This is where you are finally able to shoot other players and actually play the game now. The battles, they can be intense, but they still feel small regardless, because in case you don't know, Highguard only has 3v3 as its main mode. There's no other options at launch anyways for like 5v5 or 6v6 or anything like that. So not only does the world just feel lifeless and empty, but the threats are few and far between, because besides those 3 human opponents in the game, there's nothing to shoot at in this game at all. Like, I wish I'm kidding, but I'm like literally not. That's all there is. So anyways, you and the enemy team then shoot each other, I guess, finally. Well, you have this sword, regenerating in the background, and then if you manage to defeat someone, you will notice that a red orb spawns where they died. So the idea there is that if the enemy grabs their downed teammate's red orb, they can summon them by holding down a button, square on PS5, obviously, and then they get revived rather quickly, actually, which is kind of nice, honestly. And then you, as the enemy team, can also run up to these red orbs and hold square or whatever it is on other platforms, and then break the orb, which then eliminates that enemy from being revived on the spot. Instead, they'll have to now wait and eventually respawn all the way back at their base, which is like, I don't know, 200 or 300 meters away, but obviously if you manage to take someone out fast, it's then easier to grab the sword. So let's say you grab the sword, I guess, and now you can rush on your horse to the enemy castle, and then there's this big glowing spot on the outside of the castle in like multiple points. So you hold a button, square again, I think it was anyways, and then stab the sword into the castle button. Then the sword disappears, and now the siege begins. So then like a big war machine appears out of like a portal, sort of like Doctor Strange in Endgame or something. That's kind of what it reminded me of. And then that knocks the protective barrier on the enemy siege castle like 3 big hits, and then it explodes. And now, finally, you can enter your enemy's territory. Now the real game finally begins after so much setup and so much wasted time. It then becomes like a frantic battle of we have to blow up the castle or die ourselves, pretty much. So there's 3 points to blow up. There's A, B, and then there's the main crystal. If you blow up A and B, you lower the health of the castle from like 100 HP, which is like its max, by around 30 per crystal or so. So if you manage to put a bomb on like the main crystal in the thing, and it takes longer to blow up, obviously, because it's really important, but if you do that, the game just immediately ends and you win. While yes, that can happen, it would only happen if you steamroll the enemy team pretty much. But generally speaking, let's say you go for A or B, okay? Now you're defending the point and you're shooting the enemy team as they try to disarm your bomb. It's search and destroy from Call of Duty pretty much. This is where the destructibility comes in, because now walls are blowing up, people are tossing grenades, they're trying to sabotage you, they're sneaking up on you, all of it is happening at once. At this moment, I will admit the game is not terrible, it's at least playable at this point. There's a timer during the siege too, so let's say you blow up A or B right now, but not the main crystal, the timer runs out, or like your respawns or whatever, and then as the enemy team does that, whatever, and you're all fighting each other, and then the round ends, I guess. You then get warped back to your castle, and then, I'm not kidding, the entire sequence just begins again. Reinforce the walls that were broken. If you got sieged, of course, wait, the full minute or whatever it is. The barrier opens, you run outside, you collect blue crystals and gear all over again. However, in the second phase, the gear is upgraded, so it's easier to find like purples and sometimes even orange gear, but it's, the same thing pretty much. You also have a raid tool. It's basically your heavy weapon, I guess. Think like an RPG, but you can also have a hook shot too if you want that. I only ever use the RPG though, because, well, it's an RPG now, like blowing things up, of course. So it felt good to shoot that, but that's what it does, I guess. But you're just, you shot an RPG before in the game. I don't need to tell you what that is. Anyways, same thing again, right? Sword spawns, you rush it, you kill the enemy team, or you guys die, someone grabs the sword, and now it's, I guess, capture the flag. Stop the enemy, or they stop you. You can also shoot the mounts of enemies to make them crash so you can stop them, and then their mounts are on a cooldown, so now they can only run around on their legs, obviously. And now let's say the enemy sieges you, same thing, you wait, 3 hits by the war machine, now you guys fight, they take 1 of your 3 points, they run out of respawns, and then again, phase 3 begins. Again, collect resources, get ammo, etc., etc. Again, there's no PvE enemies, so you're just waiting around a lot. There's just way too much downtime in this game, man, if you haven't noticed. And then again, rinse and repeat, attack. Also, you have an ultimate, sort of like in Destiny. The Achilles guy, for example, he can fly up in the air and rain lightning spears down, for example. The second person I played the most was Kai. He turns into like an ice giant and then becomes the Hulk, pretty much, I guess. There's another hero, I forgot their name, but they can spawn little animal things to help them too. Sort of like little familiars or ads, I guess, which is cool. I mean, it's something, I guess. I don't know, man. I'm grasping at straws here for positive things to say about this game. But anyways, you all fight. Let's say eventually you blow up the enemy crystal. Congrats, you won the game. Wow, you're amazing. You're the best to ever do it. And then the game ends. You see your stats and you get money in the 2 currencies, silver and purple. And now you either buy things or can't because stuff in the game is expensive. And then you just redo everything I just said again and again. There's also challenges, you know, typical things, right? Get 20 headshots, defeat X amount of bad guys. You know what I mean. This just gives you more currency too. And beyond what I just described to you, that's it. That's the game. Like there's no other game modes. The entire game is just what I just described to you guys. You just spawn in, you reinforce, you collect stuff, you grab a sword, you open the siege, or they open your siege, you blow up a crystal, or you don't, you rinse and repeat until someone wins the match. There's no 6v6 PvP, there's no domination game modes, there's no team deathmatch, nothing. Honestly, in Highguard's case, it desperately needs variety in what you can actually do in it. Firstly, the matches just need PvE elements to it, man. I'm not saying full-blown like arc raiders, but they need to add enemies that you can shoot and have maybe that blue currency drop from shooting bad guys. They also need random events in the world that are worth doing during the downtime, like hold this point, blow this up, or kill that boss to get some drops of some kind, you know, in between. There should be quests like Arc Raiders has that you can complete while scavenging and looting as well. Like anything would be better than what's here pretty much. So that there's something to at least to chase during each match that you're doing besides just, you know, blowing up the castle and winning the game or losing, I guess. At least in Call of Duty or Battlefield, you chase like the attachments for your guns and upgrading those, right? And like new operators, basically something is what I'm saying, right? It just isn't here though. The game just feels like it needs way more than it's offering right now. An actual team deathmatch or domination mode would make this far more fun to play too, because capturing like an A, B, or C on a map while one guy is hurling lightning spears. Another dude is making, you know, ice walls while someone puts their familiars on a point and the other girl's calling down her hawk to see where people are. Like I can see the vision there at least. But where it stands, Highguard is just kind of a waste of time. You're just chasing random cosmetics. There's no progression that feels really interesting. You don't level up. There's only one game mode with no variation, and that's all there is. It's not that I even need to be cheering on for this game to fail or anything. I don't think that really, because Highguard is honestly just going to fail unless it pivots, and pivots really fast. Like, look at the Steam charts for this, right? In one day, it rose to 97,000 users, which is very healthy, actually. And then within 1 day of release, that number dropped to 17,000 and more. It's just not the sign of a healthy game. It's bleeding players that would normally take months for a game like this to lose, but instead they're just doing it in 24 hours. What it instead shows is that the game is being tried out by thousands of people. They play a game or two because it's free to play, obviously, realize it's not for them because it's pretty basic, boring, and lifeless, and then they leave, never to return. I've kind of never seen anything like this before. I mean, I guess Concord would be a good comparison, but in Concord's case, it never peaked at a high number to begin with. Highguard is by definition doing better than Concord at least, but it's not doing great either. There's just frankly nothing really here to chew on. There's nothing to debate or look further into. From what I gather, there's not even like lore dump descriptions that I noticed anyway. Maybe they're there. I don't know about anything about this world that I'm even in, to be honest. All I know is that some guy can shoot lightning, you can ride a bear if you pay extra real money, and people really hate castles in this game. What made this world, why it operates the way that it does, what is the point of these battles in the first place, I honestly could not tell you. Because the game doesn't seem to care about any of this. It just kind of exists in hopes that it's enough when it really isn't. I'm not saying that Highguard will be erased and gone in a week or two like Concord was. I mean, maybe, but like probably not. But it's just not something I see taking off unless big changes come to this game, and very fast. Apparently they released their first like year roadmap, which are in these episodes, and every episode will have a new warden and maps and guns and etc, etc. And while sure, that's all cool, I guess, none of what's being added really fixes any of the problems, because the game mode will still be the same. There still won't be anything to shoot during the massive amounts of downtime in the lifeless open world segment, so what does it matter? There's no chase to the game. There's no progression that matters. There's nothing. It's just nothing. Again, I'm not preying on this game's downfall or anything. I'm just telling you what I played, alright? And again, I'm not lying, like my stream is on the channel, man. I played the game for myself, you can see that. What was crazy though is like the delusion around Highguard. Like Jeff Keighley, who claimed that the game would be this massive hit, as seen here, he posted a Jurassic Park meme, confidently believing that he will be accepting our apologies after playing the game for ourselves, but most people are clearly just dropping the game and moving on and never looking back. I have no desire or reason to jump back into Highguard myself, like why would I? There's nothing to do in it. For God's sakes, near the end of my stream, I ended up just jumping into Fortnite with subscribers because at least then I could play with people and have fun. Like no joke, I asked my stream, does anyone want to play Highguard with me? And everyone either said they didn't want to download it or they have no desire to play it themselves. Nobody wanted to play this game and it's free. So like why would I do that either? But already, right, you have Access Media running damage control for this game like PC Gamer with their article titled, Highguard is fine when you don't have an internet in your ear telling you that it's nasty. Like look how they opened their article up with this. Let's set aside the noxious cloud of internet surrounding Highguard for a second, ignore those overwhelmingly negative Steam reviews full of folks who've played it for less than an hour, and pretend Highguard is just a new free-to-play FPS that came out today. Hey, Highguard is out. I played around 6 hours between launch day and a preview event in Los Angeles. It's got slick gunplay, a neat 3v3 mode that I've never seen anywhere else, okay, and a business model that sounds less scummy than most free-to-play shooters. It's pretty fun. I don't think I love it. I don't think I love it, he says. Even the apologists can't defend the game because they know that it's not good. Like, what are we doing, PC Gamer? Why even waste your time defending this game like this? Like, look what PC Gamer then says here. Still, I'm bouncing off Highguard for reasons other than its clever mode. I don't like the arcane punk art style at all. It sucks to dump entire magazines into enemies just to break their shields, just like it does in Apex Legends. And the siege phase is too chaotic to read what's going on. More than anything though, Highguard is ill-timed for me to enjoy it for the better part of a year. I've been glued to more casual multi-mode shooters, both old and new. Remember, this is the same article that just said that Highguard is good when you don't have the internet in your ear calling it nasty, where the same writer is admitting also that they already abandoned the game too. They hate the art style, they find the siege mode too chaotic to understand, which is the whole game by the way. They can't enjoy it, and they finish by saying that they will not be returning because there's better games out already. So I have to ask, like, what was the point of this article? You ran defense for a game you admit you don't like and have no intention of playing again, all because of why exactly? They invited you to an event? Like, you don't hate Access Media enough. Like, the game also has, as seen here on Steam, as of this recording anyway, 16,000 negative reviews for the game, leading to a mostly negative response on Steam alone. I should also mention the game has forced motion blur, and no, it cannot be disabled at launch, which is just another, like, nail in the coffin. This review on Steam, for example, as you can see here, is a pretty good description of how I feel too. 3v3 is way too small for a game of this size, but also, like they say there, the audio is cooked too. I mentioned that multiple times when I streamed the game myself. I couldn't honestly tell where the enemy was based on the audio feedback that the game was giving me. Like, I played with headphones on the entire time, and I genuinely could not tell if an enemy was above me, beside me, in front of me, based on any of the audio that I was getting. I just had to guess pretty much, because the audio mixing was so bad it was frankly impossible, which is obviously not what you want to hear when your game is built around, I don't know, being a PvP shooter game. But I'm just telling you like what I played. There's terrible audio design, and then there's Highguard, man. Like, oh my god. Oh yeah, I should also bring up that Highguard doesn't seem to do anything if players leave your game or sit idle too. Like, one of the last matches I played of it, I had a teammate who stood still and didn't move for the entire match. And despite the game saying that the user was disconnected, apparently they never actually left the match. So it just meant I had to play a match where we were just down a full teammate with no way of fixing that. Which means the enemy team just had the advantage and then won the game because, again, we didn't have our full team. I even had another game where we steamrolled the enemy so badly that when it came to sieging them, the entire team just left the game and then we won immediately. Like, it just feels like nothing matters, man. It's just like you either hope your random people that you're playing with, play the game, and then if they don't, well, just too bad, I guess. You just suffer and lose now. Here's another review where a player just says they're done with the game completely and then nothing they played made any lick of sense to them. Which again, I'm puzzled how this game got made and nobody tested it for things like this. I understand that your game needs to be simple to play but complex for the skill ceiling, but this just feels like neither. This other review as well as seen here just seems confused how their beefed up engine can't run the game well despite having way higher specs than needed to play Highguard. The game is just apparently not optimized on PC. It also looks somewhat blurry at times on PS5 when I played it too. But at least my game didn't crash, but it did stutter at times, unfortunately. But Jeff Keighley also ran more damage control as seen here, where he shared a Polygon article claiming that Highguard is one of the best shooters in years. Like, we're not believing that for a second, guys, come on. Especially from Polygon of all places, the same website that has notoriously attacked fans for years, which did nothing for them but lead to future layoffs. You're not going to tell me that Highguard is some game that I should worship. It's not going to work. You can't convince anyone that you're not paid to write that article in a positive light. What's wild is you have people like Cade here, who works at Screen Rant, also doing the same thing that Polygon did, but honestly even worse, where they're writing articles trying to convince you that Highguard is the next big thing, and then Savvy, a friend of the channel, had to come from the jugular on the Screen Rant post and say this. Since it's just barely a footnote, this is a paid advertisement. This individual was brought out for an event, had all expenses paid, and is referencing the event, not free play done today. Well, who could have seen that coming, right? So I decided to go look at the article to confirm this myself, and look at this. Screen Rant is out here claiming that Highguard invents a new genre, which is what exactly? It's just a first-person shooter where you plant a bomb and then defend it while using loot items, I guess. Like Call of Duty and Battlefield have this entire elevator pitch as a separate mode in their games for a while now. Maybe minus the loot, I guess, but what difference does that make really? This is just search and destroy in Call of Duty with massive time wasting where you do nothing, and then a sword that is effectively capture the flag but a sword instead. Like, Screen Rant is obviously showing their bias here. Like, these people were 1000% wined and dined by the people who made Highguard. I'm pretty much convinced. As they say here though, Highguard was something that took apparently 4 years somehow to make, which is crazy, but there you go. Again, it's search and destroy meets capture the flag with loot, but you chase nothing but surface level cosmetics. But remember guys, it's a whole new genre apparently. As Screen Rant says here, the team at Wildlight not only made the game but self-published it as well, so they were in control of everything from the marketing and more, which is now in hindsight probably a bad idea. As Screen Rant also admits here about how the Game Awards reveal went poorly, which then says they are very aware that the reveal did not do a good job of communicating what Highguard was, and have used the last 7 weeks to develop new marketing materials based on that feedback. Like, this alone should tell you that the team at Wildlight were then not good with marketing their own game, and definitely probably needed help with that too, because not only was the pre-hype negative due to how generic it looked, but now with the game fully out in the open, the reception has been the exact opposite of what you would want to see from your brand new hero shooter, totally a new genre, guys, please believe us game. And it looks like Savvy wasn't lying either. Like, look at this last line in the article. Travel and lodging was provided by the publisher for the purposes of this preview. Yeah, I bet it was. Like, that alone kind of invalidates what's being said here. Of course, you're going to write a positive article about this game when they gave you food and a place to sleep and a chance to visit the studio. Like, this is also artificial. Like, Highguard is the most game of all time I've ever seen, dude. It looks like Godfall, Immortals of Avium, and Overwatch got fused into a blender. There was actually one commentator when I was streaming the game that came up with the perfect term for this kind of genre of game. They said it was Western soup. And honestly, that's the perfect way to describe this. This is Western soup. It is just a bunch of stuff thrown into a pot with no rhyme or reason for being there, heated up so that it melts, and then they're just pouring it over like some bland tofu for you all to consume. This is how we should all just refer to these sorts of games. They are just Western soup now. Complete slop, generic, and we need less of these sort of games. Highguard is honestly more disappointing than anything. I don't know what else I can really say about it at this point. Play it if you want to, but don't expect me to play this again anytime soon because I'm good. But what do you think? Let me know as always. Subscribe. Have a great day. See you guys next time. And Western soup is literally the perfect analogy, man.